Hello guys, so I hope you are learning about trusses and you have understood about trusses from the previous lecture. In the previous lecture we had started with the topic trusses. We had explained what trusses basically are, the different types of trusses which we'll be seeing, and how to analyze the truss basically using one of the methods which was called as method of joints. In this lecture we are going to learn about the second type, which is called as method of section. So now let us try to understand when do we apply the method of joint and when do apply the method of section. Now whenever you have to analyze the forces present in each and every member in the truss, then that time it is advisable to go by method of joints, because in method of joints you are basically going at each and every joint which is present in the truss and you are calculating the forces in the members. So let us try to understand where the method of sections will be used. Now method of sections will be used in those problems in which I have limited amount of members to be found out, like the forces in the members to be found out. In that case, I will be going for method of section rather than method of joints. Now let us try to understand what method of section involves. So in this method what we do is we consider the whole truss as it is and we take a section of that truss. Now whenever you are taking a section, you have to consider two things very important in it. You have to consider first thing, which is you have to see that the number of members which are cut because of this section is not exceeding more than 3. It should not be more than 3. It should only cut only maximum 3 members in that truss, because the amount of unknowns which can be calculated using a one section will be only 3 unknowns. So if you are cutting more than 3 members, then you will have more than 3 unknowns in that particular equation, and from only one section of a truss you will be able to calculate only 3 equations from it. You will get only 3 equations from it. That is the 3 equations of equilibrium, that is summation fx, summation fy and the moment. So that is the first criteria, that you have to consider a section such that it only cuts maximum 3 members. The second criteria, which is that whenever you are taking a section, you have to cut the truss in such a way that you get 2 separate parts from it. So it shouldn't be such that only 3 members are cut and there is a still connection between the 2 sections of the truss. So the section should be such that it should cut the truss through and through into 2 parts. So let us consider this example over here. I have shown a truss over here wherein I have the support present over here. This is my hinge support and this is my roller support present, and there are certain loads, pin loads, which are applied on this particular truss at point A and B. Now they have asked me to find what will be the force in the member BE. So since only one force is asked, it would be better to go by method of section. So while doing that, you have to consider the first point in the method of section, which is while taking the section you can cut only maximum 3 members. In this problem they have asked me to determine the force in this particular member. So while taking a section, I should have this member in my section. So the first point which while you are considering the section is that it should be maximum cutting 3 members in that particular truss. So if you have to consider this member in that section, the only possible way in which this can be done is if I consider this particular section. So this section not only satisfies that it is going to cut maximum 3 members, but it also satisfies the other criteria, which is that it will separate the truss into 2 parts. So this particular section becomes an appropriate selection for me. Now once the section has been considered, you can consider either of the section for analysis of my forces. So while doing so, you have to understand that if you are going to consider this particular section, then you have to find the reaction forces in the supports. The reason being that you have to know the forces which are acting at the point E and G because of the reaction forces, because there is no known quantity in this section, while as in this section you know the values of P1 and P2 and you would be having some of the known quantities in the problem. So that is why it would be advisable to select this particular section. So we are selecting this particular section. So we are just erase that part which was not required for us. So while erasing, what you can do is you can replace the members with their forces. Over here I have considered the direction arbitrarily. The same thing applies if you are getting a negative answer for while calculation or while analysis of this problem. You will be considering the opposite direction of the force. If you are getting it as positive, then whatever direction you have selected will come as positive, will be the true direction. So now how to analyze it? What you are going to do is basically you are going to consider now your three equations, that is summation fx equals 0, summation fy equals 0 and summation m about some point equals 0. Whenever you are considering the equilibrium equation, it is advisable to go for the summation m. Now summation m is that particular very useful tool in my mechanics. The reason being is that I can select any point about which I have to find the moment. So that point can be a C, a B or a A. So any point I can select, and the reason for this being the important tool is if I select, let us say, point B, then about point B I can see that these two unknowns are passing through it. So in that particular equation, those two unknowns won't be present. The only unknown in that equation will be Fc, and I will be getting a direct answer for my unknown over here, Fc. So after going for summation m, I can go for then summation f, y and summation fx in any order you want. So this is how you can determine the unknowns present in my particular problem of truss. So this is how you see a method of section. Let us analyze one of the problems using some values. So in this problem they have considered this particular truss. So if you can see that this truss is like our stadium truss, wherein this part becomes the cantilever part and these are the supports which are provided to this. So the problem is asking me to find the forces which will be present in the member GI, GH and FH. So you can see that only limited amount of members are asked. That is, only 3 members are asked out of the remaining members present in this truss. So it would be better for me to go by method of section. In the problem section, they might be asking you specifically the method to follow, or they will be just giving you the problem and the members to be calculated. So depending on that analysis, you can go by either of the method, or if it is specified, then you have to go by the said method in the problem. So let us go by method of section. So the first part is you have to decide which section has to be taken. They have given me that GI, GH and FH are the members whose forces I have to determine. So basically the members are this one and this one. So it is directly understood that the section to be taken is from here. So this particular section will not only satisfy the condition that it is going to pass through 3 members only, it also bifurcates or divides the truss into 2 parts. So once you have taken the section, you have to decide upon which part of the section you have to take. So from here you can see that this part has the reaction forces which has to be determined. To avoid that calculation, I can just ignore this particular section and concentrate on this. So now we have selected the section which has to be taken and the part of the section which has to be taken. I have also represented the forces which are to be calculated. Now the thing which we have to do is we have to check for equilibrium conditions, those three equations. So as I said, first you will go for summation m. Now if you are going to go by summation m, you have to select a point. Now as I said that you have to select the point such that the maximum number of unknowns are eliminated from it. So if I select G point, I can see that these two forces are passing through G, so they won't be in my equation. So I can select the point as G and equate it to 0. So the only thing which is remaining is the unknown Fg. So I will be getting directly the value of Fg in this particular equation. So now I have to consider moment about G. I was given that this distance is 1.5 and the triangle which it was making at this point H is also 1.5. So basically I can find the angle over here, theta. So theta will be tan inverse of 1.5 by 1.5, which is tan inverse of 1. So basically I will get the angle as 45. You can see that the unknown force component, the component which is going to be in the x component, is going to turn the whole truss in the clockwise direction. So that is why it will have a negative sign. The force magnitude, that is FFG, the x component of it, which is my sine 45, and into the distance which it is passing through. So it is perpendicular distance is given to me as 1.5. Then the other forces which are going to pass are these. So 10, that is going to move the whole truss in the direction of anti-clockwise direction. So that will be given by 10 into the distance. Now this distance is given to me as 2. This force is moving the truss in the anti-clockwise direction, so that is why plus, and it is at a distance of 4 from the point G. And the last one is at the distance of 6. You can see that 20 is going to pass through G, so it's not going to take part in the moment equation. So this thing equals to 0 and I will get the value of FFG. I'm getting the value of FFG as 113 kilonewton, and since the direction is going away, since the direction is going away from the point F, it should be considered as tension. So summation Fx will have the forces, that is Fgh, which is going in the positive x-axis, and the component of FFG which is also going in the positive x-axis. So FFG into sine 45, which is equal to 0, and my Fgh will have the value 80 kilonewton with a minus sign. So the minus sign indicates that it should be in the opposite direction. The direction should be inwards, and since it is inwards, the force which is present in that particular member is a compression force. When I am going for summation Fy calculation, I can see that these forces are acting downwards, that is in the negative y direction. So that is why they will have a negative component. Then the component of FFG, which is also going in the negative y direction, it will also have FFG cos 45 as a negative, and FGI is also going in the negative direction, so it will have a negative FGI. In this, the unknown part is my FGI. I will get the value as minus 130 kilonewtons. So again the same explanation, the direction which I have shown is a wrong direction and it should be corrected, and since it is going towards G, it will have a compression. Now the method of section can be repeated if there are more number of members which are unknown to us. Like it can be applied if they have asked also this particular member over here. So what I have to do is basically change the section from over here till here. So again it will have a 3-member cutting because of this section. and it is also separating the truss into two parts. So this is how you can go and apply the section method. Next topic which we are taking is my zero force member. Now zero force member is a special type of members present in the trusses which will be having their forces equated to zero while certain conditions applied to it. To understand my zero force member concept, I am going to consider this particular example. In this particular example, at point A, pin point A, I can see that there are 4 members which are attached to it. Now these 4 members are attached to point A, and point A is to be a stationary point. That is, it is having an equilibrium condition at that point. Now if you analyze the forces present at that point A, for A to be stationary in nature, the forces which are passing through it should give a resultant of 0. Now since they are going to be in line with each other, the forces which is because of AB and AD are in line with each other, their magnitude should be equal. And also since AE and AC are in line to each other, their magnitude should also be equal to each other for point A to be in stationary. Now let me consider the second type, that is I am replacing the member which was present over here with a pin load at the point A. Now I am using the same concept that the force should be equal and opposite to each other if they are in line with each other. Now you can see that FAD and FAB, the forces in my AD and AB are equal and opposite to each other, so they will have an equal relation. And also you can see that the force AC is going to be in linear form with P2. So that is why my force AC should be equated to P2. So if I just say that the force is not present, like if it is equated to 0, that there is no load attached to that point, then you can see that again this particular force is equated by this, but there is nothing which is going to equate this. So that is why this particular force should be equal to 0. So that is why this particular force member is called as a zero force member. So we have come to the point of understanding the first type of zero force member, which is seen at the point where at the junction where there are 3 members meeting with each other. So if out of the 3 members there are 2 members which are in line with each other, then they will have equal forces present in them. But the third member which is not in line with them will be equated to 0 because there is no force which is attached to A. There is no force which is attached to A. So this particular member forms my zero force member. To consider the next type of zero force member, let us try to understand this particular case in which I am having only 2 members which are connected to this joint and they are in linear fashion with each other. So again we will have the same equation, that is FAD is equal to FAB. Now if in this case you can see that the members are making an angle with each other. So the 2 members are not linear with each other anyway. So for A to be in my equilibrium position, the 2 forces which are present in this particular member should be 0. So this forms the second condition for a zero force member system. So this forms the second condition for a zero force member system in which I am having only 2 members. They are not parallel with so I am having 2 members and they are not collinear with each other and they are at an angle with each other. So in that case, if there is no force which is attached to P, an external force added to the point A, if there is no force added to the point A, then in that case the 2 members are my zero force members. So these members are often seen at the tip of a cantilever if there is no force attached to the cantilever section. Now let us try to analyze the zero force member in this particular truss. So I can see that over here the members over here are linear with each other and there is no force which is attached to the point K. So this particular member becomes my zero force member. Now if you can see that this particular member is zero force, so it becomes a redundant type. Over here, now at point J, there are only 3 members which are connected to each other, of which this member is linear with this member. So again, since there is no force which is attached at point J, so this becomes a zero force member. Again, if you just replicate, you can see that this becomes a zero force member. Again, this becomes at point I a 3 members which are attached to each other. Again, these 2 members are parallel to each other. There is no force at point I. So this particular member becomes a zero force member. So this is how you can analyze. Over here again at point C, this particular force becomes a zero force member. But over here, since this force is present over here, this particular member cannot become a zero force member. Rather, it will have whatever magnitude of the force which is attached over there, that force will be present in this particular member. So this is how you try to analyze the zero force member in a truss. The advantage of analyzing zero force members is because it reduces the complication in the problem, and it also reduces the time requirement of the solvation. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you understood the concept related to trusses. We'll be taking one more type of a problem in which there will be a different type of load which is attached to the joints, and how to analyze those type of problems. So we will have one more lecture on trusses. So please comment below if you have any doubts and how you felt about this particular lecture, and how we can improve ourselves in conveying our message towards you. Please hit the like button for this video. Please subscribe to our page. If you have any doubts, please write in your comments in the comment section below. If you want to know about me, you can have my details in the about page. And also please go and watch the other videos which are being uploaded regularly and on different topics. Currently we are dealing with the topics on mathematics and electronics apart from mechanics. In the future we will be dealing with more topics related to engineering and sciences. So please do watch and have a regular update on our videos. So for that you have to subscribe to our page and hit the bell icon present. So thank you, and keep watching and keep learning. Bye guys.